Absolutely. Yeah, I see some folks joining. Hey, everyone who's joining, welcome to our Mnemonic Platform Updates webinar. We're going to review recent improvements and upcoming changes today. As Ramzy sort of indicated just there, we are going to give it a few extra seconds or maybe a minute or two here to allow for other folks to join who have yet to join. And then we'll kick things off with our presentation. Booked in for 45 lovely minutes today. So we'll try to take the most of those. We'll give it maybe another 30 seconds or so for those who are joining late. Good news is this will be recorded and will be available to view afterwards. For those of you joining in, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A panel, and we will do our best to get to those questions either during the webinar if it's relevant to an item, but most likely we will get to those questions at the end of the webinar. All right. What do you think, Ramzy? Should we get things into high gear here?
Let's do it.
All right, fantastic. Welcome everyone who has just recently joined to our Mnemonic Platform Updates webinar. We're going to review recent improvements and upcoming changes today. My name is Dave Susky. I'm part of the customer success team, Canadian born, American raised, but living down in Buenos Aires, Argentina, holding down the Mnemonic South America office. I am joined today with my trusted colleague and friend, Ramzy Yak. And Ramzy, introduce yourself for the people.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ramsey. I'm based out of Montreal, Canada, and also part of the customer success team. Thank you for joining us.
Hopefully the folks joining our names or voices sound familiar as we are spread across all over the Mnemonic platform. We help out with managing accounts, help out with support tickets and taking phone calls, and we've also been known to record a cheeky little video or two. So hopefully we're not strangers if you are using Mnemonic. If you are not a current customer, well, we're happy to, this webinar will still be useful to you. You'll see all of the most recent changes, but generally, this webinar is meant for current customers, so you can see some of the latest changes that we have rolled out. So this is how it's going to work today. We are going to talk first about recent improvements. We've got a big list of recent improvements, so we're going to go through those, and we'll go through those rather quickly. Again, if you have questions, feel free to put them into the chat, and we will most likely review those at the end of the webinar. Then we'll go into some upcoming changes and features. So items that we've got in the pipeline or that are on the verge of being released. And then, like I mentioned, we'll go into a bit of a Q&A towards the end of the webinar. We're scheduled for 45 minutes. Ramzy and I, if we need to, if there's a lot of questions, we can stay a little bit after that to address any questions that you might have. If we don't get to your question, you can either email support@mnemonic.com, or you can reach out to info@mnemonic.com. If you're a current customer, reach out to support@mnemonic.com. Or if you're just here to check out the Mnemonic software and you want to learn more about it, you can reach out to info@mnemonic.com. Okie dokie. I promise you, it's a big list of changes. It's been a few months since we've done this. So we are going to go through 13 recent improvements that we have developed over the last few months here. So the way this is generally going to work is we'll show you the recent improvement on the PowerPoint, and then we will go into the actual software and show you what that looks like. So for the moment, I'm actually going to get out of presentation mode just because I'm going to be bopping back and forth quite a bit between slides here. So, Ramzy, anything to add before I jump into this?
No, let's get right to it. It's a long
Let's
list.
let's rock and roll. First recent improvement, the Canada server migration. So at the beginning of January, we set out with a goal to create a new server that is located in Canada that can service our customers who are also located in Canada. This has been something that customers had asked about and asked for years leading up to this, and we finally decided we were going to roll this out. part of this migration was if your account previously existed on the US based server and you were a Canadian entity, we migrated your account over to the new Canada server. So the Canada server now uses NimonikApp.ca instead of NimonikApp.com. And in the top right corner here, you can actually switch between the servers. So you can see here, I'm on the Canada one by the nice Canada flag. But if I wanted to go to the US server, I could click into that and that would take me to NimonikApp.com. Same thing with the China server or Australia server. So if you are a Canadian company and you're having issues signing in, most likely it's because you have been moved over to the new NimonikApp.ca Canada server. So please try to come in here. It's the same exact business credentials, so same exact email and password to sign in. Your account is an exact duplication, same registers, same facilities, same actions, same people in the account. So everything's a duplicate. It just now exists on a server that is Canadian based. So very fun change there. Rolling into the second change to talk about today, and this is the custom homepage. So this is a feature that allows individual users to select what page they want to land on whenever they first sign into the account. So the default options you can see here, you can choose the facilities page, you can choose the mnemonic library page, you can choose the custom library page, registers, audits, internal actions, external actions, and the document clause feature, which we'll talk a little bit about later on. So the way this works is if you sign in, so right now I'm signed into my screen, you can see here my default homepage is the facilities page. So for 99.9% of customers, your default homepage is here, the facilities page. If I want to change my default homepage to, let's just say, be the library page like you're seeing here, I can do that by clicking more and then going to settings. And then on the right-hand side, I have an option, my profile. And if I click my profile, you'll see that I have the option right here called default homepage, and you can see it says facilities. So if I want to change the default homepage for my account, my individual email, I can change that. So I can say, I want to go to a mnemonic library, and then the next time I sign in, it'll set me to the library. So you can select that, scroll down, and you got to save, you got to update your profile page. And now the next time I sign in, I will sign in automatically to the library page. This feature is just the default homepage. This is just changed for my email. So if Ramzy went to sign in, it wouldn't affect his email at all. So if Ramzy wanted to change his default homepage, he would have to sign in and change his own default homepage. There is one setting that account admins can adjust that does set the default homepage for any new users joining the account. So let's just say Ramzy, we hired a new member of our CSC team. When they join this account, we can set what their default homepage is going to be. We can do that under the Edit Company Information tab here. And once this loads in, you'll see that we have once again, a default homepage. So this is for the account for any new users joining. By default, they're still going to the facilities page, but if we wanted to change this, we could say we want them going to the mnemonic library page instead. We could hit save, and now any new users joining this account will go to the library page. Unfortunately, as of right now, there's no way to bulk update the default homepage for existing accounts. So let's just say your account had 20 users. You would have to go through individually and update the default homepage for those 20 users, or those 20 users would update it themselves, and then they would all be able to set their default homepage. We have a lovely support portal that goes into a little bit more detail on the default homepage and how that works. If you're ever interested, please check out our support portal. Maybe Ramsey, if you have the chance, can you add the support portal link to the chat just so folks have access to it if they want to see?
Sure thing.
Let's move on to update number 3. This is the user search and manage user page. So this is another admin feature, and it just helps you keep track of the users that have access to your account and find more details on them. So if we come and as an admin, I'm going to click this Manage Users button in the top right corner. This is going to take me to a page. For those of you who have been with Nimonik for a while, you'd be able to remember that normally down here at the bottom, we would list out all of the users on the account. We had to, unfortunately, due to performance issues, we had to change this. So we no longer just list all the users by default on this page. However, we do list the users within inside this button now. So if we click this search and manage users button as an admin, now we will see listed out alphabetically all of the users in the account here. We can see next to their name what is their permission level. So we can see that this person is a general user while this person is an account admin. We also have the ability to search. So if I wanted to search for Ramzy, I could go ahead and search for that user and yield those results there. The default listing is paginated. So before, that's again a change. Before, we would just list everything out. But if your account had a couple thousand users, well, that was pretty overwhelming and it was causing performance issues. Now we've paginated the user list out. So it lists about 30 users per page, but really the best way to search for those users is just to use the search bar. You can search by their name or you can search by their email and you should get results there. So again, an admin feature, but something that we're hoping adds a little bit of quality of life to those managing users there. Let's move on to number 4, and this is an exciting one for our French-speaking customers. Très belle, I've heard, is the review from our French-speaking customers, and that is that you can select what language you are sending invites in. So previously, whenever you invited a new user to join the account, the invitation was sent out in English. And it didn't matter if your account was in French or in Chinese or in English, it would send out the invite and the email invitation would be in English. Now, however, when we send out an invite, whoever is sending out that invitation, so the admin, whenever they send that, they will have the option to select what language they send the invite out in. So if we click invite here, you'll see we can add their email. So let's just say we want to add Ramzy at Nimonik.com. Now we have the option, what language do we choose? So by default, it'll be on English, but if I wanted to send him an invite in French, I could do that and click invite, and Ramzy would receive an email invitation to join the account in French there. Quite a small little change, but again, a quality of life one for our lovely French-speaking customers. Let's move on to number 5. This is again an admin feature. This admin feature is a little bit more for our standards customers. It's very specific to them. This is a reset simultaneous user limit button. So tell me if you've heard this story before, where you've purchased a subscription through Mnemonic. Maybe you've purchased ISO standards and your simultaneous user limit or your concurrent user limit is 5 seats. If 5 users have gone in and accessed standards, if a 6th one goes in to access a standard, they will receive an error saying you cannot access this document at this time because you've reached the simultaneous user limit for that standard, or for that publisher, I should say. We have added a way that the admins can actually reset this limit in case of emergencies, basically. So think of it as sort of a nuclear option, where if an admin is getting a lot of pressure from a user saying, hey, I need to access this standard right away, we've created a button that allows you to reset the limit and allow a new user to access a standard. So once again, this is going to be found under More and then Settings. And for the admins, they will be able to see they have a simultaneous user management button here. They can click into that, and they will have the option to reset the limits. In fact, here on this page, you would be able to see if anyone is actively viewing a standard. So for instance, if someone was viewing a CSA standard or an ISO standard, it would show 1 out of 5, and I'd be able to know that 1 out of 5 seats are currently occupied. If 5 out of 5 users were viewing a standard, then it would be highlighted in yellow. And if I wanted to, I could reset the limit. All you have to do is select it on the left-hand side and then click the reset button. You could select multiple SDOs, multiple publishers at one given time, and reset whenever there. When you reset, it doesn't naturally boot a user out of the standard that they're currently viewing. So basically, you don't have to worry about a user complaining, saying, hey, someone kicked me off this standard. It doesn't do that right away. However, if that user tried to reload the page or anything, then yes, they would lose their spot accessing the standard there. So again, we added this just to hopefully allow admins to save a little bit of hassle and the ability for them to reset the limit whenever the limit is maxed out and they're getting pressure from users saying, I need to access a standard. Rolling right into it, let's talk about internal actions a little bit. So this was a feature that we talked about last time we did one of these webinars, which was late 2025. We talked about how we added a new internal actions reminder. When we created that feature, it was on by default. Well, this led to a few users saying they were getting an increased amount of notifications. So now, whenever we create an internal action, it is going to be off by default. So let me show you what I mean. Let's go into a register. Once it loads, we're into a register and let's create a new internal action. So if I go in here and I click this button and create an internal action, you can see here, this option, the very last option, starting 60 days before the due date, send an email reminder every 7 days. This is turned off by default. If we wanted to set that email reminder, we could turn this on simply by just clicking the checkbox. And as a reminder, you can always adjust these dates and times. So if I wanted to say for this, please review this document, and add my notes, I could say update our internal policies to reflect I can't spell, reflect the latest changes. Give it a due date. Let's just say we'll be generous and give this person until the end of April. We'll select myself, so I have plenty of time to review. I don't need 60 days worth of reminders. Let's just say I only want a month ahead, so 30 days before the due date. I'll start receiving an email reminder every 7 days until this is closed out. So I have selected this. It will create the internal action, and when I'm 30 days before that due date, it'll start sending me emails every 7 days before it's due. So a small little adjustment there. Let's roll into number 7, which also is related to internal actions. We have created a new closure note history for internal actions, and we have also added a new column that captures the latest closure note in our internal actions report. So let's use that same internal action that I just looked at there. We've got this open one. Let me click into this and you can see, here we go. Please review this document. It is an outstanding internal action. If I click the title of this, I'll be brought to the specific internal actions page where I have this closure history button now. So if I open this, it'll give me the closure history. Now we haven't closed this action yet. That's why there's nothing. Well, let me show you what it looks like. So we're going to say, let's just pretend we've gone ahead in time and I have reviewed this document and updated our internal risk policies. When I hit save here, it's going to close out that internal action. You can see the closure note that's been written here on this page. And if I go to closure history, it'll now say completed by me on today's date. And here is the note that I have written. If I reopened this, actually, I made a mistake and this is not yet resolved. If I reopen this action and we go back into closure history, this will show that it's been reopened by me, today's date, and the note that I wrote there. So you can see, helpful, very useful for folks that are constantly closing and reopening actions there. Let's close this out one more time because I want to show you what the closure note looks like in the internal actions report. Okay, this is finally finished and updated our internal policies. So we've entered our closure note. It is in the books. Now, if I go to my internal actions report, just so I can get a high level overview of what's been happening there, I can actually go ahead and search for my name. I can expand the date range a little bit to capture that internal action. And now you can see listed here for this certain products containing toxic substances. You can see here is my closure note that I added. Okay, this is finally finished and updated our internal policies. So this column previously didn't exist. We didn't have the last closure note, but we have now added this. We have also added a source and a register column for this report, as it just helps you kind of maintain where this internal action came from. So you have the internal action here, you have the facility it came from, you have the register it came from, and you have the exact document or the exact clause that it came from. So this is linking to a document. In this case here, it's linking to a specific clause that this action is associated with. All right, that is my portion over. I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Ramzy, and he's going to take us through some other improvements related to the register. Go ahead, Ramzy.
Thank you, Dave. We'll give you a little break. That was a lot of points in a row that you just had to explain there. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is this freeze register columns functionality. Before I show you that, Dave, can you confirm that my screen is shown on, you can see my screen?
Yep, I'm seeing the PowerPoint. Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, so this new feature, the freeze register columns, basically what it allows you to do, this is a more of a quality of life feature that we've developed. What it allows you to do is freeze the first two columns in the register. And like that, when you scroll to the side here, you could see the first two columns remain visible even as you scroll. So the reason we freeze two columns is because we try to leave frozen the selection column here that allows you to select the rows and modify the rows. And next you have the option to freeze whatever second column you choose to freeze. So the way to do this is to go here into the settings where it says add, remove, reorder, register fields. You'll see here a toggle where it says freeze first two columns. When you create a register, a new register, by default, this will be on. For all previous registers that have been created in your account, you'll probably have to turn it on manually. But for any new registers that you'll be creating, this will be on by default. And then you could select, basically it's going to freeze the first two that you see up here. So it'll select the field here that allows you to select the rows and whatever field you choose to put at the top here. So if you want to move a particular field to the top, of course you could just move it up like this, reorder the fields, and then it will freeze that one instead. Now, the next functionality we're going to talk about is the multiple choice custom field descriptions. So we now allow you, when you're creating a multiple choice custom field, we allow you to assign more information to each option. So to write a description for each option that you create. This is done in the settings. I'll show you how to do that in a second, but here, back to the register, let's take a look at what it looks like when you're in the register. So here, this field, the quality of control field, is a multiple choice custom field that we've created in this register. If I click on it, you can see right now there's a selection, medium, and here you see what the description for medium is. If I go to change the option here, it shows me a legend of all the options and all the descriptions that I've put in place. So the idea with this functionality is that, let's say you want to give the user more information about the options so that they make the correct selection, then they have the descriptions they could read before making the option. And then here they go in and select the option that's most appropriate. Now to set this up, this is done in the settings. So when you go into the custom field directory here, so just to tell you where I'm at, I'm in the settings right here. I clicked on custom field directory. When you're creating a new custom field or updating an existing multiple choice custom field, so here let's say, let's just call it multiple choice. And if I select the type here, multiple choice, and I start adding options, so option 1, option 2, you could see under the field where I enter the title of the option, there's now the description box that appears here. This is where you would put in the description that would appear in the register page. Awesome. Let's move on to the next one. So risk matrix cell descriptions. So previously with risk matrices, you could customize a lot of parts of the risk matrices in the account. But you could call, like, for example, you could customize the columns, the numbers in the cells, etc. But you couldn't add a description to each individual cell that's associated to that number. So we changed that recently. And now we allow you to, within your risk matrix, create descriptions for each cell, again, to add more information. When there is a description written and it's being used in a register, you'll see an I here, which says that there's an additional description. And when you hover over it, it shows you what the description you wrote is. So here you can see it says low risk level, no action required. So each one of these has a description here. And this is the way this is set up is it's customized in the settings of the risk matrix while you're customizing that risk matrix. So here you can see we're in the settings, we're on our inherent risk matrix. And here, if you want to add a description to a cell, all you have to do is click on that cell. It will open up the information of that cell. And then here in the fields, in the text fields here, you enter the descriptions that you want to show. You could enter descriptions in multiple languages as well, and in the languages that the app is available in, so English, French, and Chinese. And like that, when you switch the language here to the other languages, the description will also translate. So yeah, this is where you will set up the descriptions and then you will see them appear here in the register when you make a selection. You could also, while you're making a selection, see the descriptions before selecting it here. And on the topic of multiple risk matrices, excuse me, you now have the ability to create multiple risk matrices within your account. So previously, if you've been a long-time customer of ours, you might remember that you could only create one risk matrix, and that risk matrix would be the only one that you could use account-wide. So for a long time, we heard your feedback, and many of our customers requested the ability to create more than one risk matrix in the accounts. And the purpose of this is sometimes maybe you have multiple risk matrices you use internally. Maybe you have a different looking one that's your inherent risk versus residual risk, etc. And you would like to integrate both of those into the platform. So now we develop the functionalities to allow you to do that. So if we go back here into the register, you could see for example, for this Canadian Environmental Protection Act, we have here different risk scores, and some of these are using different risk matrices. So if we open this one up, for example, you could see the risk matrix, what it looks like, the columns, the rows. But then if you open up this one, you can see this is using a completely different risk matrix, a 3x3 matrix with its own descriptions, its own headers, its own rows. So you might be wondering, how do you set this up? We now have a new page in the settings. Excuse me, let me make my way here to the settings. So here we have a new page called Risk Matrix Directory. And here, when you click on this, this is where you're going to see all of the risk matrices that you've created in your account. To create new ones, all you have to do is click on this Create New Risk Matrix button. And what it will do, if I click it right now, it'll just add a new entry here. At first, it'll just be titled it'll say Risk Matrix and number. So the first one you create will be 1, then 2, Risk Matrix 3, 4, 5. But then you can modify the title afterwards. So then you could click into it and then here modify the title. So you could call it whatever you want and then customize it however you want. Again, the rows are customizable, the row titles, column headers, the cell descriptions, the colors, all of that is customizable. And then to choose which one you want to use in your register. That's done when you're creating the custom field for the risk matrix custom field. So let's say I go to the custom field directory here and I choose to create a new custom field for that's going to use one of my risk matrices. So here, let's say I call it inherent risk. And here, when I'm selecting the type, I'll choose the risk type. And then once I choose the risk type, you'll see a new field pop up here that it's called risk matrix that will prompt me to select which risk matrix that I've created that I want to use and associate to that custom field. And like that, when I activate that custom field in the register, it will be referring to, so the scores here that I could select will be referring to the risk matrix that I associated to that custom field. Um, awesome. So I'll pass it on over to you, Dave, so that you could talk about document clauses, our new documents clauses feature.
Fantastic. All right. So let's talk about document clauses, which is a new feature that we rolled out sort of late last year. It went under the radar a bit, but it's a very interesting and powerful tool. So the concept behind this feature and the goal, I should say, is we're trying to make it so you can manage all of your clause level compliance needs in one location. So previously, the way clause level worked is that you had to go in and look at each individual document and kind of go document by document. Well, let's just say you've only been assigned 3 clauses in one document, 3 clauses in another document, 5 clauses in a third document. That means you would have to go to 3 different locations, 3 different documents, do your assessments, update your custom fields, et cetera, et cetera. Now, with this new document clauses feature, you can do that all in one place. So it's a bit of a mix between trying to simplify the clause level compliance workflow and create a new clause level dashboard. Again, trying to just keep things as simple as possible here. So if you have the clause level active in your account, it will appear under facilities here. So if we click facilities, you're going to have an option, the last one down, called document clauses. To be fair, we're still playing around with the name a bit. Document clauses might be changed to something else in the future, but for now, we're calling it document clauses. If you click this, this is going to take you to a page where you have some filtering options, but by default, it's going to filter for your name, so clauses that you have been directly assigned the responsible party, and it's going to filter for requires review. You, of course, can always change these. So if you want to, as an admin, you can go through and add other folks. You can add teams and look for those. You could add other assessment options as well. And if you wanted to get down to it, you could even go in, look at the specific register that you wanted to take a look at. For now, we'll keep this just set with the default searching. So you can see we're looking for me and for assessment options that say require review. So then here it's going to pull up 3 different clauses, one from the Canadian greenhouse gas from my EHS register here, and 2 different clauses from within the same EU document here. Again, all these are required review. If I wanted to, right from this page, I could change the assessment of these clauses. So if I selected this EHS one here, you can see I've selected it now, and I have the option to change the assessment. So if I wanted to change this from requires review to applicable, I could do that. I could add notes and it would update my assessment right here, right now. I could do this in bulk, so I could select all 3 clauses on this page. Or if I really wanted to, let's just say I'm an admin and I wanted to do a big old review, I could select it's limited to 15 clauses per page, but I could select more than one page here. So you can see I'm looking at 15 now, but if I wanted to select all 1,072 clauses in my account that we've marked as requires review, I could go ahead and do that, and I could do a bulk update. So this bulk update would update assessments for clauses across multiple documents there. So it's a pretty handy feature if you wanted to do like a very quick bulk update for clauses. Let's go back and just go to my default view. So we're looking at those three documents again. The other thing to do from this page is go to the review page. So if we look here, it says EHS Legal Register, and we click review next to this name here. We're going to click this review button. And now we are just looking at clause 6.1 from that EU reg. So you can see it's laid out here where it says the full clause text laid out there. You can see who's currently responsible, which is me. You can see our assessment history here. So we mark this as requires review, who did it and when. AI analysis is something that Ramzy is going to talk about a bit later, but I'll show it off now. So this is a way where you can learn a little bit more about this clause. So this is giving us expanded context related to what this clause is about. Again, Ramzy's going to do a deeper dive on this upcoming feature later on, but I just wanted to point out that it does exist on this page here as well. And then more importantly, when looking at this clause, you can do an assessment. So we can switch this from requires review to applicable and say, upon review, we have determined that this clause does apply. And then we could hit save. It's going to say, are you sure? The answer is yes. And now we have changed our document. So now we're saying that this is applicable. If we check our assessment history, you can see here we've marked it as assessment. You can see the notes that I just added, and we could continue doing that as needed there. If we go back to that default document clauses view, and I go into this other option here, I just want to show you that this review page also connects to custom fields. So for this clause in particular, within my EHS legal register and within my Canadian greenhouse gas, we have all of these various custom fields that are activated. So we have, this is an environmental impact, a multiple choice custom field. So I can go through, and if I wanted to, I could update the custom field. Here we have one of Ramzy's lovely risk matrices. So we have this, it's telling me right now we've selected for likelihood monthly and for consequence plus 1 million. If I wanted to actually go ahead and view the risk matrix in its entirety, I could click this open and I could view the whole risk matrix. So I understand where exactly my previous selection lay. I could add information to my text field control measure, update my residual risk. I could add a subject matter expert if I wanted to. Let's just say I want to add my colleague Lex as the subject matter. I could add attachments as evidence. And again, I could go through and update these custom fields there. After I do all that, if I hit save down here, it is going to go through and basically push all of those updates. So now I've gone ahead and hit save. So now all of the previous changes I just did have saved there. For those of you using the connected documents feature, which I know is really a small niche group of customers, but I just wanted to point out that from this view, you can also overwrite your clauses. So you have the option to overwrite the assessment tract history and custom fields for your child clauses there. So if I wanted to, I could go ahead and taking this information, I could overwrite the current existing information in my child document, and I would push that forward into my environmental permits register there. So again, this is trying to make your workflow for managing clause level compliance a little bit more simple and widely applicable to multiple registers and multiple documents if need be. All right, the very last recent improvement that we're going to talk about, because we're running a little short on time, is related to both the mobile app and the desktop app. So I'm not going to show the mobile app or the desktop app in this presentation today. We'd be happy to cover that in another presentation if you are interested. I'm just going to show you these screenshots because this is basically a high-level view of what this looks like. So if you go into the one on the left here is the mobile app. This, we have added pagination. So now previously it would just list out all of your documents within a register, and that was causing some performance issues. Now it's going to list out about 30 documents per page, and then you'll have to click to the second page or the third page to go and see whatever items are on that second or third page. For the mobile app itself, there is a built-in search bar at the top, so you can always search for a document. So if you wanted to look up CSA, instead of having to go through and switch between the pages and try to find the document that you're looking for, you can actually do a search for CSA and get your results there. And for the desktop application, which is very similar to the mobile application, we've added pagination. So again, it's going to list out about 30 documents per page, and there's also a built-in search bar at the top there. Really quick, I am just going to show you what the desktop application looks like. So the main benefit for this application is for our standard subscriber customers. This allows you to view standards in an offline way. So you can see here on the left-hand side, I have the option to search for documents. I've got my purchased industry standards register here. This is going to detail documents that are locked because I have not purchased them, documents that I have opened already. If you hover over, it says PDF document has been downloaded. So this is downloaded a copy of this CSA standard within this application. So it's not something that I can access outside of the application. It's only a download within my desktop application. And then you can see here, you have a download option. So as a PDF document can be downloaded. So again, the changes that we made to this is that we've improved performance by starting to paginate the results so that you display only 30 documents per tab. And if I want to I could switch between the tabs and view those standards there. Okie dokie, just being weary of time, we are going to move right along to upcoming changes. We're only going to cover three upcoming changes today. And really, the first one is the one that we're going to spend the most time on, and that's going to be AI improvements and what is coming down the pipeline there. I'm going to pass it back over to Ramzy, and he's going to run us through that before he passes it back to me to go through the last two options. So go ahead, Ramzy.
Thank you, Dave. So at Mnemonic, we are taking AI very seriously. We understand that there's huge potential there. We've already started working on a few different initiatives here that I'm going to show you. Some of these that I'm going to show you should be available in the very near future, and other ones, there's still a little bit of work to be done, but it should be available in the next couple of months. So the first thing I'm going to show you is our extended summaries. So let's make our way here to a register. Well, before I even show you that, just a side note, we are adding AI descriptions for all documents that are a bit more enriched than what we were previously offering, and also filling some of those gaps where some descriptions were missing for less popular documents. So look out for those. Those should be populating as we move along with this project. But now for the enhanced summaries, let's open up the Quebec Fire Safety Act here. So here, when you open up this documents page, as I mentioned, you have these AI descriptions now, but you will also, for documents that are parsed in our database, you'll have this Mnemonic AI extended summary functionality. So when you click this, what it will do, it will expand summaries for each of the sections of that document. So the idea is it's a more in-depth summary section by section so that you have less to read overall, but you could really hone down and find what is relevant to you, what sections are most important to you, and which ones you should be focusing on the most for your operations. So that's the first thing here. Let's go back into the register here. Sorry, into the presentation. So the next thing is the enhanced text for clauses. Let's go back into the register now, this time for real. We'll go into the clause level view for this European Union document and scroll down here a little bit. So this is a functionality that my colleague Dave touched on briefly earlier. But here, for example, in this EU document, you see here there's this clause. This clause is an obligation. You now have this button here, AI enhanced text. If you click into this, and this functionality that I'm showing you now is one of the functionalities that's being progressively rolled out right now. It's just a matter of you know, making that available for all the documents, but it is developed already. So here it shows you the clause text of that European Union document. And on the right, it shows you an enriched description of that clause text. So the idea is sometimes when you're reading a legal document and you only read the clause text, you're missing a lot of information without reading the rest of the document. You might not know the context, you might not know certain terminology, certain definitions, etc. So the idea with this enhanced text is that it explains to you some of this information more so that you could only read the clause text and this and have a good understanding of what it's talking about and whether it applies to you, whether you're complying, etc. So that's the second functionality. So both of the functionalities I just showed you, the extended summaries and this, are something we're rolling out right now. The next thing I'm going to show you, which is probably the more exciting feature for a lot of our customers, we know this has been in demand for a long time, is the AI relevance column. So basically, this functionality, what we're envisioning is you as a customer, we will work with you to help you build a profile in the system. So what industrial sectors you operate in, what your operations include, et cetera, et cetera. And using that information, AI will be able to look at clauses and tell you whether it thinks the clause is applicable to you, isn't applicable to you, or might be applicable to you in cases where it's not sure. And then there will also be this other column here, AI applicability assessment, that will explain to you why it thinks so. So the idea is you'll be able to open up the clauses of a document and easily find the things that are relevant to you. You won't have to manually look through um, that entire document and kind of guess what applies to you or use your knowledge. Like you'll already have a good base to start with that AI will have provided you. And this functionality, and I'm aware on time here, so I'm going a little quickly. But this functionality is also works very well with the functionality that Dave was showing earlier, the clause document view. So here, if we go back to that page, document clauses, what you'll be able to do is, let me filter here to find the clause we were just looking at. Uh, Register, excuse me here. What was it called? Let me give me one moment here. I'm just forgetting what the register I was just looking at is called. Applicable sample
Sample
set.
site AI
Okay, yeah,
or
thank you.
EHS legal register.
Sample sites. Oh, it's not
If
this
you
one.
filter for my name, Ramsey,
Yeah, let's do
and
that.
and then
Required review.
yep, and then the second
Oh,
one down
perfect.
you can
Yeah.
use
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. So here, as Dave was showing earlier, you'll have the document you're looking at. You'll have all your obligations, and here you'll be able to click this review button and see the clause, see the obligation here, and have the relevance directly shown here. So here, for example, it says this one might apply, and based on your profile, it's telling you why it thinks so. And then here you could change the assessment. So you could say, okay, this does apply, for example, or this one might apply. So maybe this one requires a review. And you could say, the AI is saying that it might apply, saying that this obligation might apply, and therefore we need to review it. You click save, and And that could be part of the workflow now. You have that information while you're assessing all the clauses in one place. So I'll pass it on over to you, Dave. I know we're going a little bit over time here.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around with us, folks. So, last couple things to show. We actually only have a couple screenshots as these are still upcoming changes. So, the first one relates to watch list and document notification improvements. So, the first thing that we are cooking up in the background, and hopefully we can release this in the next months or so, is we hope to be able to offer a choice whenever you create a register. So, right now, uh, basically, we have what are called company registers. So if you create a register, it is accessible to your admins and it can be accessible to other people. It'll be included in all of your reports, dashboards, API requests, etc. What we hope to create is a private register option. So this would be if Ramzy wants to create a watch list for documents or standards that are only applicable to Ramzy, and he's the only one who wants to be aware when those documents are changed or when new documents are released. Ramzy in the future will be able to create one of these private registers so that only he'll have access to it, admins will have access to it, and if need be, Ramzy can invite other people to have access to it as well. But this won't be included in reports, dashboards, or API requests there. So again, we're trying to come up with a better, more streamlined way to do watch lists or favorite lists for standard subscribers there. So again, we don't really have any functionality to show off. We have a screenshot here of what it potentially might look like coming out in the future. The other document notification improvement related to watch lists is soon we will add a bell notification on the register page, and this will allow individual users to decide if they want to be informed about documents being updated on that page. So right now, the way it works is the only person to receive the notification if a document is updated is who is set as the responsible party. So it's a little blurry here. Maybe I can zoom in a bit, but you can see. So let's just say for this NFPA standard, if this is updated tomorrow, then everyone who's a part of my environmental team, they will be assigned an external action. And on Monday, they will receive an email saying this document has changed. Same thing here for this ANSI standard. If this is updated, Jonathan is set as our responsible party. So he will be the one to be assigned the external action and be notified about it. With this new notification improvement, we're hoping to simplify this approach a little bit. So this will be a toggle on, toggle off. It's going to go register by register and individual by individual. So if Ramzy came in to this register here and he wanted to be informed whenever a status of a document changes or whenever there's an update, he would be able to turn on this notification bell. And then whenever this ANSI document is changed, specifically the status when it goes from current to superseded or anything like that, then Ramzy will receive an email in real time informing him about that change. Let's just say I came into the same register and I decided I don't want any of those email notifications. I don't need to be informed. I could turn the bell off and then I would not be informed about any of those real-time changes there. So again, we're trying to simplify and streamline the way we do watch list and notifications when documents are superseded or when they are updated there. And then the very last change, unfortunately, I don't have a screenshot of this yet, but we plan on adding library search functionality to the desktop app. So this will allow you to go back into our lovely desktop application, and instead of just searching against the documents that you've added to registers, we hope in the future that you'll be able to come in here and actually do a search throughout Nimonik's entire catalog, and you'll be able to get your results from that library page there. All right, folks, thank you for sticking with us. For those who are still on this call, I know we went a little bit over, but do we have any outstanding questions from anyone on the call? Anything that you would like us to address? Fantastic. Feel free, if you have any questions, there should be a Q&A panel where you can put in your question, or you can write it into the chat if you have any questions there. If you can't think of anything in real time right now, you can always send us a message at support@mnemonic.com. I'll put that into the chat now, support@mnemonic.com. If you want to learn more about any features, or if you are a not currently customer and you want to get more information, you can email info@mnemonic.com and receive more information from there. We invite you also to check out our support portal where there's a whole bunch of information and resources, screenshots, videos, to help you learn more about Mnemonic's software there. Well, it doesn't seem like we have any questions for the time being, so shall we wrap things up, Ramzy?
Let's wrap it up. Thank you,
All right.
everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone. The recording should be sent out if you want to view the recording later. For now, have a great one. Thank you.